Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Brendan Plays. This is Total Extreme Wrestling here for our All Elite Wrestling save. We are currently week 4 of October, just a few weeks away from Full Gear, and things are starting to get a little bit exciting. Obviously, the storylines are building, the heat is growing, and some new signings, of course, are coming into the company soon. Jay Lethal's going to be one of them, and maybe some more as well. So I'm really looking forward to what we've got in store for you guys very, very soon. But in saying that, we do have this week's edition of Dynamite booked and ready to go, so may as well jump into it. So let's start off with the pre-show. The Acclaim, they got a win over the Wingmen as a 34 rated match. Max Caster 34, Bowens 33, Cesar Bononi was in this one 31, and Ryan Nemeth 30. So solid outing here, trying to get the Acclaimed another win, just kind of showing that the Leo Rush's guidance is starting to work for them already. So the Acclaimed are starting to buy into the fact that maybe Leo Rush could be a good influence for their team. So another win here over the Wingman on the pre-show. And speaking of the pre-show, Will Hobbs got a win over Preston in a 45 rated match. Will Hobbs 50, wow. Preston 30 as well. So they had pretty great chemistry. So that could be a match that we might do again down the line. But Will Hobbs is starting to get over. We've had a really long journey to try and get him there, but he's getting close to the 40 mark in every area. And in the Southeast, which is where we are this week, he's got a very strong popularity. So happy with that. All right, we open up this week's edition of Dynamite with the Inner Circle. Chris Jericho, he's got a huge announcement. And before we can even get to the announcement, it is all ruined thanks to Sammy Guevara, who makes his return. He's got a weapon in hand, and he is sick and tired of hearing Chris Jericho talk. He comes to the ring, clears house, and he manages to take out a few members of the Inner Circle. Chris Jericho is able to get away, luckily. So Sammy Guevara is tired of the Inner Circle, and will finally start to come after them now. He's been out of action due to injury, which he, of course, sustained at Grand Slam, so makes his return here. 89 for the segment. Guevara was a little bit underwhelming, okay? Probably could have done a little bit better. Jericho did his part well, so 89 for this segment. Good stuff. Alright, moving on. We had an 8-man tag team match loaded with a lot of talent here. The Hardys, Jurassic Express teamed up to take on the Lucha Brothers and FTR. I mean, what can you say about this one? There's plenty of great wrestlers in here, all fighting it out. Jeff Hardy was the best in the match, 72. Cash Wheeler not far behind, 71. The worst in the match was Luchasaurus, no surprise, 57. In the end, it was the Lucha Bros and FTR picking up the win. So, of course, FTR feuding at the moment. Had their issues with Jurassic Express. Their feud is, I guess, officially over, but a nice little tie-in here to that feud that they've just recently had. And the Hardys, of course, are feuding with the Lucha Bros, so there's the connection there. 70 rated. I wanted to try and get these guys, the Lucha Bros and the Hardys, in the ring without giving away anything too major. But I do think a Jeff Hardy and maybe a Rey Fenix one-on-one match, that could be fun, so we might try and do that at some point. Red Velvet and Brandy Rhodes, they argue with the Inspiration ahead of their tournament match, so a bit of a confrontation between those two, and that advances and improves the women's tag team storyline, which is good. So they'll be taking on each other next in the semi-finals of the tournament. We had Arya Davari with a one-off appearance. He took on Lance Archer. So I said earlier we're in the Southeast this week. I think we're in the Midwest. Davari was a local talent. We brought him in, similar to what they did recently on Dynamite. It might have been Rampage, one of the two. In real life, I figured, okay, why not? Let's see how he goes for us. He had a 48 rated performance, which is pretty solid. Took on Lance Archer, 68 from Lance, and a 62 rated match. So honestly, a lot better than what I expected. We had Paul White on commentary as well. We had Davari take a big bump during the match, so we're trying to really, he had to earn that $200 that he got for this appearance. So Lance Archer, of course, we've had him do a lot of squash matches, but it hasn't really worked for him. So I think he needs to kind of work with some guys that have got a bit of talent. And Davari was a good one-night option for that. And of course, he's getting ready for his match with Paul White at the pay-per-view. And speaking of Paul White, Lance Archer and Paul White broke into a brawl post-match. Thought this would be a lot more interesting than it was. Only a 64, so a big pull-apart brawl between Paul and Lance. And we had members of the locker room clearing out to try and save the day, make sure that it didn't continue on, but didn't quite go down as well as I probably would have expected. Sammy Guevara wants to fight someone from the Inner Circle tonight, and Sting says, okay, you can have Jake Hager. So, of course, Sting's our GM, and Sammy Guevara is in a fighting mood. He's been gone for a while. He wants to fight someone. Well, he's going to get Hager, so that's going to be a tough assignment for him. The Young Bucks took on Top Flight in a 65 rated match, and they put their titles on the line as well. Their 10th defense of the Tag Team Championships. Nick Jackson 87, Matt Jackson 85, Dante 36, Darius 37. Pretty good all round here from both teams. Obviously, Top Flight don't have a lot of popularity, so a chance for them to work with some of the top guys to maybe improve on that in a solid match, which they did have. 65's good. Of course, post-match is what matters the most. Darby and Malachi appear, and they try to take care of business and trying to take out the Young Bucks. Adam Cole, Kenny Omega managed to save the day and get them out of there. So they grab them and they pull them out of the ring and they run away. And kind of, the Elite have been laughing off Malachi and Darby. They haven't been that worried about them. They believe the real threat is Punk and Danielson, which they think they're never coming back. So Malachi and Darby are trying to just let, the Young Bucks and the Elite know that they are a genuine threat. I think they kind of learned here tonight that they are, being able to appear out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they're in a horrible predicament. They could have been taken out, and Kenny and Adam Cole had to save the day. So I think the Elite are starting to take Darby and Malachi a little bit more seriously. Jade Cargill had a squash match against Mel, 20 rated. It was never going to be great, I suppose. I just wanted to give Jade a win ahead of her match with Britt. Obviously, that didn't go down too well. The Acclaim, they thank Leo Rush for his advice, and they say that they will think about joining the portfolio. So 41 for that one. Obviously, as we said earlier on, Leo Rush has been helping out the Acclaimed, so this is them kind of repaying him back and saying, okay, well, we might consider joining your group. Sammy Guevara had a 65 rated match with Jake Hager, and he sustained a nose injury. So, well, he's back from, kayfabe injury, and now he comes back and gets a legitimate injury thanks to Jake Hager. 79 from Guevara, 61 from Hager. Not enough psychology here, so probably needed to script this match to try and improve it. Unfortunately, it did lose storyline heat for the Inner Circle storyline, which is not good because that storyline's already been struggling a little bit. So, yeah, the Guevara and Jericho match could be a little bit flat when we actually get to it at Full Gear unless we try and do something special before we get there. So, I don't think... Yep, I was going to say, I wasn't sure if Hager was the blame, but it was. The locker room was a bit unhappy with Jake Hager after his mistake caused Sammy Guevara to get hurt. So Jake Hager with the botch. And why do we have Hager on the roster, honestly? I would not care if we lost him at all. The Nightmare Family, they want to fight the Pinnacle, Dustin and Cody. They challenge MJF and Wardlow. So MJF has been trying to, get in between the Nightmare Family. In particular, Dustin and Cody trying to pin them against each other. It hasn't worked. Instead, they're going to band together. And they want to fight MJF and Wardlow. So obviously Dustin and MJF had a great match recently, so I figured why not try and go back to this, incorporate Dustin here with Cody, and have a big tag team match there. And why not try and get more people over at the same time, rather than just, MJF and Cody. We could always improve Wardlow, we can always improve Dustin. There's a good chance that we can try and do that. Our main event was Christian Cage and Miro one-on-one, 75 rated match. We had both guys tiring towards the end. I went with a little bit of a shorter match, 16 minutes, thinking that could happen. But unfortunately, it still did happen despite the shorter match. Christian, 71, Miro, 79. Miro picked up the win. So obviously, this is a match. We've got the TNT Championship 4-way coming up. So two competitors in that match, fighting it out here. And we had a 75 rated match. I didn't think it'd be anything like majorly good. I thought, definitely mid 70s is probably what I was expecting. So I'm happy with that. And overall, it gives us a 74 rated edition of the show. That's pretty good. We had some decent matches on the card. Lucha Bros and FTR, that tag match was 70. We had a few 60 rated matches and a couple of good segments. So, yep, 74. That's probably about right. All right, post edition of Dynamite. Let's take a quick little look. Trent has changed his style. He's now considered to be a comedy wrestler. Oh. Alright, Trent, I don't know about that one. I mean, Trent, he's got a lot of talent, but into the comedy wrestling, I'm not sure that's a good idea. From him, overall, we had 974,000 viewers for Dynamite. So, not too bad. Dustin Rhodes has got a new catchphrase that he debuted apparently last night. So, that could be a huge plus for him. He might have a little bit of a bit of momentum coming from that potential promo. So, that could really work out well for Dustin. So, I'm hopeful that that will be the case. Jay Lethal, he will sign with us. Thank goodness. We end up having to pay him nearly $2,000 per show. So Ring of Honor really tried hard to keep him. And we decided that we will get him in. And we went with an exclusive deal. So we're going to be taking him away from Ring of Honor as well. So I figured we want him all for ourselves if we have to pay top dollar for him. And if you look at Jay Lethal's stats, I mean, honestly, there's a lot of green there. There is a lot of green, which means he is very good. Promos are really good, so we can get him over that way. His in-ring work, I think, is going to be solid. So I'm really confident in Jay Lethal coming in and having a pretty big splash. 53 pop as well. Could be a really nice factor in the middle of the card, potentially moving him up to the upper mid card if we get a bit of momentum as well. So I'm really hopeful for him. What's he going to come in as, though? As a heel, babyface? I don't know. That's the only thing. I'm sure he could do both and do both pretty well. I'm not too worried. He plays the comedy, the swagger gimmicks well. He's loyal, which is good. He's an amazing heel. So he's better as a heel than a babyface. So I'll have to assess the card. I'll say that he's a heel at the moment, but we'll have to assess. He's not available for another 21 days. So he's still currently working with Ring of Honor and working out his contract. So if we take a look, what do we really need in the middle of the card? Obviously we've been lacking in some areas. So Adam Cole's still there as middle of the card. But you look at baby faces, only Matt Hardy is there. At heels, you got Adam Cole, who's probably going to be a main event guy soon. And then, we got Phoenix, Santana Ortiz. They're all tag team guys. So it's really Archer, Brian Cage, and loosely, I suppose, Wardlow as heels. So there's probably a spot there as a babyface, because obviously you got Matt Hardy as the only one, and he'll be looking to, stay in the tag division for the foreseeable future. And if you go to the well-known, you got Darby Allin, who probably will be moving up the card soon. Jungle Boy Luchasaurus. So there is some options there. Heels, slightly more options again. Jake Hager, Anderson Gallows, Penta. Again, more tag team guys other than Hager. So, he could fit in either way. But if you go further down the card, Bobby Fish, he's a newcomer, so he's obviously coming in as a heel. Ethan Page, Ricky Starks, Scorpio Sky. That's not too bad. But on the babyface side of things, it's a lot more. So you got Eddie Kingston, who will hopefully move up the card soon. Powerhouse Will Hobbs, Orange Cassidy. So there's a few more options there, slightly lower down the card. So it's a tough one. It's really tough. I feel like he could slot in either way, but I think probably a babyface might be the way to go. Just because at the upper mid-card level, there really isn't much happening there. So we'll think about that, but I think at the moment, babyface could be the way to go for Jay Lethal. Alright, AEW Dark is booked. Let's jump into it. On the pre-show, The Acclaimed, they defeated Reynolds and Silver in a 37 rated match. As about a 12-minute match, Leo Rush on commentary, guiding what he hopes to be his new clients, The Acclaimed, to another win. So, yeah, look, continuing that little storyline we're building here, The Acclaimed, we're trying to get them a lot of momentum. They're kind of picking off some of the lower teams into the division at the moment as we try and get ready for their push. Alright, we opened up the show this week with Team Taz bragging about how Ricky Starks defeated Colt Cabana in a fair fight. Now, we know last time what happened. It was certainly not a fair fight. It was a beatdown before the match by Brian Cage. Clearly, Colt Cabana was not in 100% condition to fight. But the heels, they believe, hey, look, he was fine. He agreed to fight, so that means it was a fair fight, and we won fair and square. 64 for that one. Advancing and gaining storyline heat, so a good promo in the end. We had a 6-man tag team match. The Wingman on the show, they took on and were defeated by the Jurassic Express. Even Marco Stunt got a chance to wrestle here in this one, and he seemed off of his game. Jungle Boy needs a new, his gimmick's getting a little stale, so either a new gimmick or a freshener up. But in the end, of course, Jungle Boy was the best match, 63, Luchasaurus, 59. Best on the other side was Peter Avalon, 44. Not bad. Ruby Soho says that the Serena Deeb has lost all of her class and the locker room's respect. It's a bit of a scathing promo there by Ruby, really targeting Serena Deeb. Things are getting a little bit more personal between these two, and a great segment in the end. A 54 rated promo by Ruby, really top solid stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing Ruby and Serena. I think that should be a really solid match. Next up, here's something a little bit different. Adam Page offers Sammy Guevara advice about how to move on from the inner circle. So of course, Adam Page knows what it's all about, to kind of be the outcast of a group. Of course, he was basically removed from the elite, no longer wanted there. So he kind of is adept in giving Sammy Guevara some advice in this one. And I thought this might be a way to kind of boost up the Inner Circle storyline, which has been struggling a little bit, and incorporating Adam Page, something a little bit different to the storyline. Hikaru Shida took on the debuting Kira Hogan in a 53 rated match. Hikaru Shida 52, Kira Hogan though 37. Wow. Where did that come from? She debuted her spoiled brat gimmick. It was given a rating of great. That was her default gimmick, so I just kind of went with it. But she was really good. 53 rated match, 37 from Kira. That's really surprising. In the end, Layla Hirsch tried to cost Shida the match, but ended up costing Hogan the match instead. So yeah, look, that's really good. We might have another good, solid wrestler in the women's division with Kira Hogan. Jeff Hardy challenges Rey Fenix to a singles match. 79 for that one. So, we talked about, I think that Jeff and Rey could have a really good match. So we're going to go with that at some point. And our main event was Bobby Fish. He took on Stu Grayson and picked up the win, 57 rated. Will Hobbs was ringside for this one, watching on and ready to fight Bobby Fish at the time came to be. Bobby Fish at 56, Stu Grayson 44. So Fish really putting on some good performances here. He's kind of starting to impress me. I'm really intrigued to see how far he can go. Post-match, Bobby Fish backed away from another Will Hobbs challenge. So of course, last time Bobby Fish said, look, we'll fight on my terms. Will Hobbs, he's coming out here with Mark Henry, his manager, saying, look, we're here again now. We're ready to fight. Do you want to fight now? Let's do it. Bobby Fish says no. So in the end, a 61 rated edition of Dark. That's pretty good considering we didn't have any major stars in any matches. I was actually even contemplating putting Shida in the main event and doing something a little bit different, but we gave it to Fish. Ended up being the better of the two matches, just. So 61, really good thanks to a couple of solid promos. Okay, on to Rampage, and we've got Rio and Mel on the pre-show. Wanted to see where Rio is at. We haven't used it too much as of late. 43 from her, Mel 28 for a 40 rated match. Pretty solid, not too bad. We opened up the main portion of Rampage, and we have the Nightmare family in the ring to discuss the importance of tonight's main event. Obviously, the Pinnacle's kind of been pushing around the Nightmare family. The family have come together. They want to make sure that they get the job done. Cody says it's on to him. He needs to get this done for his group. Dustin obviously says this is one of the biggest matches he's had in a long time. So, they're kind of hyping up that this means so much to the family if they could win here tonight. 81 for that one. We have the semi-final match in the women's tag tournament. Brandy and Velvet took on the Inspiration. 46 rated match. Really good. In the end, it was the Inspiration who won, and they advanced to the final of the tournament. Red Velvet was the weakest in the match, 23, Brandy 43, and McKay and Lee 45 apiece. Not bad. So a solid match in the end, pretty good. I was happy with that. And now we move on to the final of the tournament, which will take place at Full Gear. Speaking of the tournament, it's Cassie Lee and Jessie McKay cutting a promo on Tay J, who of course will be their opponents coming up soon. 56 for that one. Good promo. Lance Archer defeated Chuck Taylor in about 10 minutes for a 61 rated match. Paul White on commentary for this one. Watching on Lance 69, Chuck 40. advancing the Paul White Lance Archer storyline. Britt Baker says that the women's division is doomed if Jade wins the belt. 53 for that one. So good solid promo there by Britt Baker. And our main event, we had the Pinnacle took on Cody and Dustin Rhodes for 78. Wardlow 64, MJF 84, Dustin 49, and Cody 86. The Pinnacle picked up the win when MJF, he pinned Dustin Rhodes. So there you have it. Dustin Rhodes, I guess, letting the team down, letting the family down, losing the match for the group, and the Pinnacle able to secure a win. So a big win for MJF, who has obviously lost to Cody in recent times. I figured good to give him a win back. And the post-match segment there, Dustin upset with himself that he lost the match as MJF watches on and laughs. So Cody's trying to console Dustin, trying to tell him, look, it's all good, it's just one match, it's fine. Dustin Rhodes clearly very upset with himself as MJF and Wardlow they walk up the ramp, they're laughing, they're high-fiving, they're pretty happy with themselves. They're having a great night, big celebration indeed. 80 for that one. Not a great show in the end, 64, considering we only had one good match on the card. Took a risk with that. I thought we might get a little bit more out of Lance and Chuck, but obviously we had the inspiration of Brandon Velvet on this one, so we kind of knew that wasn't going to be too hot. But look, sometimes you just gotta, you gotta have a few bad shows here and there. Dustin Rhodes was also overused, so that also brought down the rating as well. Yeah, he was in the promo, then he had the post-match segment as well as the match. So yeah, he was featured pretty heavily on this show. Alright, let's take a look at the post results as Dynamite has ended its run on Sky 5. Ooh, we forgot to renew that, so we'll have to get around to that. The viewership, we had 970,000 viewers for Rampage. Alexa Bliss's contract was up. We thought about looking at her. She's got 60 popularity, but I just didn't think it was realistic. I don't see her being a good fit in AEW at all. I just think she's one of those women that probably wouldn't make the jump over. I think she's more of a WWE style project. I want to take a couple little looks at the ratings of the popularity of some of our wrestlers. Dustin Rhodes obviously had a big night. No real change in his popularity. It is 46 in the Southeast. That's okay. So nothing too major coming out of that one. Bobby Fish obviously had a solid outing. 46 for him. We'll take a look at Jesse and Cassie. They're at 41 for Jesse and 41 for Cassie. So they did beat Brandy Rhodes, who still has quite a bit of popularity to give. She's at 44, 45 in some areas, so that's not too bad. Red Velvet's really letting that team down. If we were able to get Red Velvet a little bit more over, which we just haven't been able to, despite having some success, that combination would work pretty well, but it just for whatever reason hasn't happened. We just haven't been able to get that working. So maybe long term we might be able to. Some of the other guys, some of the fodder in that bigger segment. Lee Johnson, 17 popularity. He had a feature there. Austin Gunn, he was a part of that as well. So he's now slightly closer to the 20s. Colton Gunn, 17, so no real change for them. For him. And Brock Anderson, he was also in that as well. 16, 17, so maybe a slight little increase. You never know, but probably nothing too major coming out of all of those segments there. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. We're heading into the new month, so we'll cover that in the next episode. But in terms of our next major show, Full Gear, just 2 weeks away. So I feel like we're going pretty well in terms of our storylines. I think some may have slid a little bit, like Cody and MJF. We're trying to incorporate some other factors into it to make it a little more interesting and try and get a few more guys over at the same time. So we're trying something different there. And we're trying with a lot of women's storylines. We've got 3 on the go at the moment, so that's kind of affecting our show ratings a little bit, but we're trying to invest back into the women and get them over. And certainly with the women's tag team storyline, which I think has been pretty good. I'm looking forward to seeing how that final of that one goes as well. And obviously we got the big returns of Danielson and Punk. I think that's going to happen maybe next episode on Dynamite. When we might do Young Bucks versus Malachi and Darby and have a big match there and bring them back after that one. So, we've got some big stuff in the works. We've kind of just been treading water a little bit the last couple of weeks, building and building and building, and now I think we're about to start hitting a few home runs into the next couple episodes. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back with another one very soon.